Hey everyone, I am Amrita your at Arms, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 330th meeting of Amrita Toastmasters Club, where we talk about such an environment where members can hold their communication and leadership skills. Before we kick off today's meeting, I would like to request all of you to put your phones on silent or switch them on. Also, discussions on sex, religion, politics, as well as mentions of the institution are strictly prohibited. It's maintained professional tone throughout, avoiding any swearing or offensive language. For our speakers, please keep an eye on the clock. Exceeding the time limit may lead to disqualifications. At the end of the meeting, voting and certificate forms will be shared, so do take a moment to fill them out. Without further ado, I now come to the stage to ask my experts, Toastmaster. So welcome everyone to reading number. So how's it going? Right after COVID, the holidays missed by and we are finished of vacation, stress, and what not for the winter. How's the weekend? Perfect. Graduated already. Have a tag team as well. Really. So yes, let's look forward for what we have a couple of guests with us, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce our guests. So the guest is you will introduce yourself and just let us know what your favorite day of the week is. So my boss or sense of data and thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so we are yes, sure. She was not attended that point because she came up for yes, okay, not hearing. So, in the introduction, let's jump right 330 and now pass over control to the general evaluator. So, we have so I will be your general evaluator for the day. And as general evaluator, my goal is to evaluate this meeting and provide feedback on your actions, on what went well and on what we could improve upon. To assist me, I have my wonderful tag team with me. First up, we have our timer for the day. Good evening again, everyone. I am Toastmaster Nadella, and this time I will be your timer for today's meeting. So, as the name suggests, the role of a timer is to time every week, every speech that you give. And today, fortunately, I have only prepared speeches to time. The time for prepared speeches are 5 to 7 minutes, where I will be showing the green card at 5 minutes, yellow card at 6 minutes, and red card at 7 minutes. Every speaker will be provided in a buffer of 30 seconds. From this meeting, after the general evaluator and the evaluators will be timed. The for individual evaluator would be 2 to 3 minutes, and the evaluator and also the time will be 2 to 3 minutes. So, how do you think? Okay, more to the time meeting as well. We have an icebreaker session, icebreaker today, and that will be 4 to 6 minutes. That's different from our regular speeches. All right. Next up, we have our comment for the day, and that is Toastmaster Color. So my goal is to make sure that you guys use your syllables a little less. So I will keep count of your R's, and all those words, and give you a concise report, because we are all getting time, at the end of the meeting, along with my tag teams. I think the time is short and having me walk back on stage very soon. Let's start the free hand. So good afternoon. Thank you for social consulting. Good evening, everyone. I am Roshni and I will give the meeting. The role with remaining is to check for useful grammar. So I will check looking at both good useful grammar, bad useful grammar, and I will be delivering my report at the end of the day meeting. Now, an important role part of the remaining role is to introduce the word of the day, which is anybody who uses the word of the day in their speech or while they are on stage will be given a shout out. And now let's move on to what the words. The word is capricious, which means fleeting movement or behavior by chance or impulse. To put it on one word, capricious means unpredictable. Example sentences could be the weather is capricious these days. It's cold today to go and it's super hot today. So the weather in Coimbatore is very capricious these days. Or you can also say he was a cruel and capricious child, and his mood can change and anything can happen. And thank you, that is the end of my introduction. I think every possible gender evaluator who just forgot where they are. Life is capricious, you know, like that really. Sure, we will discuss. All right. Thank you. I have resources. If you for the partnership, if you don't like your roles, now we will be moving into our prepared speech marathon, and we have 3 wonderful speakers all set as well as with their prepared speeches for today. So first up, we have Toastmaster Sanjana, who will be delivering the icebreaker. And before I call upon Toastmaster Sanjana, I call upon her individual evaluator, Toastmaster Vishwa. Please. All right, yes. I will Toastmaster Sanjana's individual evaluator. So, Toastmaster Sanjana will be delivering her icebreaker today. And I think it's kind of ironic because we've all have the fact in mind that you can establish yourself as a Toastmaster in our club, but it doesn't still have to deliver your icebreaker. So, in a nutshell, since it's been quite a while since I last icebreaker, the icebreaker speech is the very first speech that you deliver and yourself. Because you have to experience yourself, the club, and I so today I will be evaluating for Master Sanjana on the speech content, her presentation and style. I will give it with that, I will see Sanjana out of that press and back to the all right. Okay, so moving on. Let's jump right into Toastmaster Sanjana's speech. Toastmaster Sanjana says all yours. From Telangana to growth. From Telangana to growth, Toastmaster Sanjana. So when we use one another sincere, it's a less we can reduce that. I am Sanjana, Toastmaster Sanjana. So I completed my schooling in modern series every school. I have spent my entire life in and around them. I was always thinking that I'm a very reserved person who generally generally prefer to come out of my comforts. I'm being honest here. I know how to go, I know how to come from my school, go to school, go to tuition, and then back. That is. And coming to college still quite good is a really big change in my life. Coming back. So,
I came from, I'm generally from traditional background. So I didn't have that much exposure to a lot of extracurricular or co-curricular activities. So then my mom never let me sit high. She always wanted me to join some other activity. Let it be singing, painting, sketching, or so. My comfort zone always lies in fear of singing, sketching, painting, and, and even sports. But my mom is always wanted me to join oratory competitions. Let it be Tamil, Hindi, English, and even Farsi. But I was very scared to present in front of it's my mom, so we can't do much about it. So that so let me put forward a question. Have you ever been in a situation wherein you have prepared the entire speech, but you don't have the ability to come and present in front of others just because of the fear of getting judged? So yeah, I was put in a similar situation. This is my thing. I have a English auditorium competition. Now, obviously, my mom is going to pressurize me to join it. But I didn't want to know her. I never had a plan to go and tell her that there is one way. But we know good moms' instincts. They're always the same day when the topic was announced and the date was released. She came to me and she asked, didn't they give you the a topic for your English competition? And I was like, yes, yeah, they did. I forgot to tell you. Then, since I was even during the sixth grade, I don't have to sit and prepare the entire script. I don't have the burden to prepare. But the script is going to be in your hand in one day or so. The entire point is you have to sit and memorize the entire script. Which I was terrible. I was very scared. We ordered the before prior, 3 days prior to the competition. I started preparing my speech. And on the day of competition, we always have this tendency, right? If it gets postponed the next day, I'll present it better. With high hopes, I went to my teacher and asked, Ma'am, is there any possibility that you can postpone the competition to the next day? And she was like, she said a clear no. What do you do? You come in ready. What is this? There was no other choice. I had to proceed that. I was confident about this speech. So I thought, okay, I will do something. But then again, when I saw the crowd, I felt like if I go and stand in that podium and start speaking, I will definitely mess up the entire speech. And my self-dignity and respect is going to be out of the way. So that was no choice. I went in. When the teacher called me, she said, when she called me on stage, I got really nervous and I said, Mom, I didn't prepare. And I just left the place. The so-called confidence that I didn't prepare. Then I came back and I saw my mother. And the irony is, talking about the English competition was Mom, a beautiful name. I had such a good opportunity to talk about her personality, like how she is. But I left that entire opportunity just because of the fear of getting judged in front of me. I started realizing that what I'm feeling is not like a person. But then what is not achievable through consistent effort in hard work? That's why I said I have to learn this mind of politics. Or one more thing which I realized is I'm studying really at things in a different perspective. It's fine. Come out of the comfort zone. Make mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. Correct your mistakes and come back the next day with the same amount of energy and vigor and achieve whatever you put in. That's the main conclusion which I got from this. Then now, earlier, I am friend of you as a Toastmaster, as a member, as a part of the Toastmaster Club. This is a small step and being a better oriented. So here I am presenting my first ever speech. My identity. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. Happy Toastmasters. I was a wonderful icebreaker. And thank you for giving us a small snapshot of your life. telling us about your hobbies and all the relationship growing up. So you had that like the life breaker out of the way. Moving on, we now have our next speaker of the day, and that is Pavitra. Before I invite Pavitra on stage, I would like to invite the individual evaluator, Toastmaster Veda. Good evening to all our Pavitra. I'm Toastmaster Veda, and I'll be Toastmaster Pavitra as individual evaluator today. So Toastmaster Pavitra is giving her second speech after her icebreaker, which is L1P2. This project is called Writing a Speech with a Purpose. So this speech focuses on strategies for selecting a topic and producing a well-written and organized speech. So I wish Toastmaster Pavitra the very best, and I'm sure you'll do great. Thank you, Toastmaster Veda. All right, Toastmaster Pavitra, let's get one seriously. Toastmaster Pavitra. From peace to pick. From peace to pick, Toastmaster Pavitra. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I am so happy to see you all here, and it's been a while since I've completed my LP. Out of curiosity, I wanted to question you with something. Yeah. How long do you think you would be without your mobile phone? Or hour, any day, number of days, anything? Anyways, I expected people to say in hours. Anyways, 10 minutes is a great number. I was it's great indeed. I would say I can be without my phone for 5, 6 like that. It's 15 minutes. We have been living in a world where we are moving from calmness to constant notification. Simply please to think. I want to give a quote said by a notable historian as well as writer called Christian Lewis Lamb. He said that technology is a useful symbol as well as a dangerous master. So we have to ask ourselves that uh, how controlled are we? Is it who is really in control? Is it us or the technology used? I'm a hosteler, and being a hosteler, I go to home once in a while, like once or twice in a month. And when I go home, I feel like I will define home as a place where I can relax and refresh. And when I get home, nowadays I always end up being stuck in my phone, like scrolling endlessly or watching movies, either video or whatever it is. And this always comes to the notice of my father, and he always scolds me for this, asking why did he choose that mobile phone all the time. And I'll be a lazy dog, I'll not get up, I'll not listen. But sometimes I snap out of it and I realize that still I'm missing a few things. How much I'm missing it. So one day it happened and I felt guilty for that and I went to my office very sad. He was probably involved in her own digital world. She was in YouTube. Completely in YouTube. From cooking recipes to alternative medicines or other than what is prescribed by the doctor and everything that is happening in her. She uses only YouTube. YouTube was like her ultimate guide of solution. Then I realized an irony hit on me that we are together but apart. They're connected in screens instead of each other. But the problem is not only that. There are, we are like, most of us are, erasing, having habits that erases the boundary between convenience and addiction. A few people use their mobile phones late in the night. As a popular, I have seen it even in gaming. A lot of people, even me, and a few other people, the second category of people, they use their mobile phone, they rely on watching as an excuse or a way to find or fall asleep. Yes, my mother's category. And the third category of people, they can't live without their own money. They take it everywhere, even to bathrooms. Is there any people like that? So, the question is here. Okay, let's few hands in raise, but anyway, I'll first question. And after that, the consequences of such behaviors are not only affecting our personal health, it also affects our beyond personal health, that is our productivity, our relationships, as well as our state, mental being state. So we have to come up with a solution for this kind of behaviors. And the solution, I would say, in the most basic of this awareness. We have to be aware, or we have to realize the fact that uh, we need not respond to every single notification that we get. We need not rely entirely upon likes and shares. And we have to put down our phone and look up at the sunlight and look up at the sunlight is not high. So that we can get commitment and connection. So I will tell you a small story. There was a person, there was a man in the village. He was walking through the marketplace with a bird in his hand. He saw a group of children standing nearby and he went and questioned them. Is the bird alive or dead? The children are hesitating to answer because the bird's fate is decided, can be decided by the white man. So they are hesitating to answer. And the white man replied, it all lies in your hands. So in a similar way, I'll say that it is in our hands and it is our responsibility to use the mobile phones. Uh, the impact of what we get on the usage of mobile phone depends on how we choose to use it. So I would like to conclude by saying that instead of living the conclusion of I mean, perfect life with our devices, will embrace the reality with imperfect. Thank you. As a part, I would like to say that I do not tolerate any slander against mobile phones. So, I do not appreciate your very passionate rant on mobile phones. I can really call one of today. But regardless, thank you for that wonderful speech. You have inspired me. Maybe just a little bit to put my phone down for a second longer. I will try. Again, thank you so much, Mother, for that wonderful speech. And now we shall move on to our final speaker for the day, and that is Sushmata Arati, who will be delivering her L4P1 today. And so before I call on you, I would like to call upon the individual evaluator, Sushmata Arati, to speak us about the project speech and his role.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm glad to see some sense of orderliness as the beginning of the submission. So, I'm so fast. I will be well surprised that I'll be evaluating a veteran of our Toastmaster. I was supposed to evaluate Toastmaster Sean, but plans came last minute. So, LFP1 consists of two speech parts. The first speech, which I presume Toastmaster Arati has already given, includes giving an overview of the product, the project being make a plan, build a team, and execute its problem. Now, having given the overview of the project, the second speech that was master after we delivered is some experience of a management of the team. Some steps of how they work together, how they brought the idea to life. I wish you all the best. Back to you.
Toastmaster Arati, Toastmaster Arati, are you ready? All right. Toastmaster Arati, the invisible medal, Toastmaster Arati. Toastmasters meeting on a Friday. Releasing the next meeting's agenda on a Saturday. And once the agenda is finally full, having three of your own players back out on the day. And then drive a few people to be balanced. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the everyday life of a vice president education. There are no computers and yes, even though I'm a VPE right now, I was elected for the first time in my life in January 2020. And at that time, I was a fairly new member who barely knew anything about the club. But according to my calculations, I will do basically any time director for Toastmasters meeting. Basically, they write the script for Toastmasters meeting. And of course, the direction, post production, and the rest of the work is done by the role players or the expert. Now, I remember a very clear memory of a very memorable day. It was a Friday, it was a Wednesday meeting, and the agenda was filled a week before. As the meeting was on a Wednesday, and it had to prepare speeches, one topic session. One day before the meeting, on Tuesday, a prepared speaker texted me and told me that Bharti, I wish to back out. I was like, okay, fine, just one prepared speaker back out, no problem. But then, on another day, that has come a very important meeting. The genuine evaluator, table topic master, and genuine now, the genuine evaluator and table topic master are the backbone for a response. Without we cannot have a meeting, and it's very hard to get a meeting. But still, somehow I managed to convince a few people, somehow conducted the meeting without proven role players. I still somehow felt that there should be a way where we could avoid backups, where we could have a meeting without backups. Somehow it would leave the VP life in peace, which is not even scripted, but still there. So I was just scrolling through social media and I came across a post which was written as Toastmaster opinion. And I thought, this is a really good idea. We can implement it after. So I did some research and I found that certain clubs have a marketing scheme for their club members. Basically, they award a set of points for members, and if everyone has the most amount of points, then we get for constructive. I thought we can do something like this. We award points for the members who are taking up roles, being active, and maybe deduct points from the members who are not being active in the sense who are backing up. Even if not they are not being active, they shouldn't back up. So then I thought about it for a while. I had a proposal, shared it with my president at that time. And my president at that time told me that our idea is very good, but try to have a team who will assist you throughout this project. So I came a former treasurer, former Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham to my next project. And Vishwa was truly instrumental in helping me out with the project. Whether it's helping me figure out how an Excel sheet works, or it's sending me reminders to fill in the Excel points, Vishwa helped me a lot. Not only helped, but my fellow expert members also gave me inputs on how I could implement this project. As time passed by, we started figuring out how to implement this project in some ways. For example, instead of having only one winner, we decided to have a leader, but we would have top 5 performance Toastmasters every month. Not only every month, but we decided to not only have the winners in a monthly basis, we decided to have it in a quarterly or term basis. So we could have Toastmasters quarter, Toastmasters term, and so on. So how this actually worked was, Vishal and I used to log the points on an Excel sheet. By the end of the month, we used to add those points and we used to share the top 5 of our sponsors to the media, and the media used to make the flyers. And the flyers were circulated all over social media and it was circulated in the ABC members group and so on. And it was going really good. Now, why did the initiative start? To reduce backgrounds. To reduce the active conversion. Let me reduce backgrounds. Considering today it is not. So, even though it is not, you might be thinking, even if it is not reduce backgrounds, how come it was managed successfully? Because there have been times when the agenda was filled 2 hours before the meeting. How was it successful? Well, even though it couldn't reduce backups because I just made peace with the fact that backups are inevitable, it did leave a huge impact. And that impact was that the recognition that it got. Whenever the trial was released, I remember a few Toastmasters asking me about the Toastmaster. They asked me about the leaderboard, and I used to share the remarks. The same leaderboard then. And not only that, even after my term, it was actually being continued. And to be honest, that was the invisible medal that I got in my leadership. Now, this project has taught me that whenever you're in the You're not getting your successful leadership is not when your idea works. It is when your idea leaves an impact which is so big that it's either continued even after your term or it has an impact that impact is still valid even today. So whatever it is even a huge impact in that practice, definitely the invisible medal that I got in my leadership. And I hope that we all get the invisible medal at some point in our leadership because those matter more than this. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you for giving us a small space into the life with the joys and sufferings of one of the educated. I think please keep an eye on those master aunties range, you know, back on the popular advantage. All right, now, moving on to too fast. We have practical community. By presidential discretion, I would like to introduce a surprise favorite topic session. Are you willing? Alright, our surprise favorite topic is master for the day, or the favorite topic is master.
Hello, Toastmaster Anand, who just joined the picture. And we were table topics master, which I've never done before. And I don't exactly remember how this is going. Kind of shots. And she just take your post. I don't know. I think and I shake my. Is it like to be? Would you like to do detail now? What is the detail? I forgot so. So, anyway, let's start. And table topic session comprises of each one of you to just come to the stage, and I will be giving you a question. Then you have to talk about it for 2 minutes. And the timer, you know the timer rules, and the timer has already announced. So it's 2 minutes of the whole time, and you go for 2 minutes. And you'll be one economy. The red card is the final one. I don't even know when it is. Thank you. Hello, Philip. Philip Roberts. First, I would like to invite those smart started.
Did you have 15 topics? Okay, discuss.
The question you are going to get, the worst reaction you have with it.
The first reaction I had to drink.
That's it.
Okay, so officially speaking, I cannot drink yet, and this is not alcohol. But we didn't have an close past okay? And the first reaction I had to drink. Okay, so I cannot say this. As a kid, I had terrible moments of my life where I had severe goals, terrible loss, those thought of it. I wanted to what to do during these difficult and tested moments of my life. So when the profession started, no one understood what my career was. The doctor was very probably the last of Thursday, but I somehow recovered. But one treatment was give branches and see what happens. So sometimes it's the home remedy cure has. Which is someone is cold and shivering. Give them brandy, medicated brandy, and see what happens. And when I did so, the first reaction I had was, not like a poison me, like I didn't understand how bad it's done. Like it's not called me as a brandy. No, it was What is the why you will feel to okay using subsisting on speed for water? But at that point, all I had was either taste this ramen and some reason myself. Very love feeling myself. So have this symptom unknown substance enter my house. First of all, you every day you eat the subscription. Yeah, I'm not making. That's actually not making you say no matter what you do. And then the conditions, these are the conditions like once two drops. And then you're giving something nice. And I was being the gullible trustful person I was. I said, okay, ma'am. Okay, then you give me. If this is healthy, fine. The moment I had it, I knew it was one of those revolting things I did. And the basis, all went along. And I said, I'm never touching that again. So, very interesting. Luckily, we developed.
After my capricious introduction to the table topic session, I would like to ask any of the guests who volunteer to come up and speak. Side, coffee, partner, and wine.
Who is my favorite chai or coffee partner? Well, nowadays it's mostly people I have worked with. Anybody who talks to me pretty nicely in my hostel, my friends. Who's my favorite? One of my school friends was with me in 8th grade. He was a of my smart. He right now he's studying in Canada. He's doing his graduate in So I think yes, he would be my favorite tea time partner. It's been a very long time since we have spoken to each other in person. Although it will be even longer time because he'll be doing his postgraduate in Canada as well. So it may be a decade of yeah. Thank you. What you will say, right?
But that reminded me of my friend that I had in my grade who I always had milk with, but not sure coffee. Until the and any guest that volunteers here, I would like to talk to you. What is the ultimate snack relating to coffee? Favorite memory related to tea. Yes, I can understand. First time you drink coffee, how is it?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sophia. And before I start, I was not informed about the table topic session. That's why I happily came to this. So, sponsor Ikita, your question. So, okay, what was the question? First time I had coffee. It was at least unpredictable as I don't know who told that. Yeah, the sponsor Subhash on that. So it was unpredictable. The day was fine. I think Toastmaster Veda likes coffee more than me. So she's a coffee lover. You are topic is not favorite to me, so I can't speak more about that. So, thank you.
To say about your speech. Your speech spoke more than your words. Next, I would like to invite Toastmaster. Every time I drink this, I think of the time in one mind. Sometimes I get reminded of the
I do not drink tea. I do not drink coffee. I hate both tea and coffee. The worst drink that humanity has created, and I absolutely do not like it. I have not thought about tea and coffee lovers out there. That might get tired. They do not tell me, but when I was in 12th grade, when I was go to the cafe course, it was going to what hang out after very boring long 12th grade stuff. So set up in not concept you have to pay for obviously, but it used to be sold along with some kind of snack, which we could offer. So it came basically like a coffee. And this is what my parents was obsessed with ketchup. And when I was obsessed with ketchup, he used a one single ketchup bottle. He would bring back sauce packets that you get when you order. Same sauce, just that you can gift it to us. And still, like suck it up straight from the packet. So, what we used to do was, we used to make a packet. One thing, and second, why not add sauce into the in pure agony and what? And then we demolished the ketchup packet. So the entire thing sucked it into that 7-Up cup. I know it sounds like a bad combo. Here we put it down. Sounds like a bad combo. But it will not happen. And I know Rob, I don't believe that because again, people when we used to laugh at our fun and enjoy the thing, which gets a better, but then again, the cat. This is nothing just this is like this thing, everything possible about very good. But then you never know what memories can be stored in the ketchup packet and that's fine. That's the thing of this one.
Like that, your friend and I drink two strong and the next November 30th this year, and then you'll be a 7-Up filled with the sauce. So, I guess I can speak.
My grandmother makes this ginger tea and when fishes are in drink that you save your life. So whenever I drink the tea, like, we all sit together and we talk about the most random things. Like why is this plant missing in the kitchen? And I really thought that I have no idea about the instances and I go to the kitchen only to eat. So I have no idea what is happening here. So my grandmother is like, this fan is missing, is it in your room? Put it in my room.
I will feel like if you find it, then you know it. So our other conversations revolve around the neighbors or how many dogs are there in the street. So it's about the stuff and we start a conversation from somewhere, then it goes somewhere. So I don't get to bring such good tea here in the West. So every time I drink tea, I drink.
So one tip for you all, whenever not feeling like eating breakfast in a mess, just go to the mess, get some bread, and just spread those 4 breads in your plate and put your plate under this tea thing and then just pour it that's very good. You know, one just sit and just like and put it there. So that is the end of the table topic session. And it was a really wonderful session talking about tea, coffee, and people like me. And then some of and over to general evaluation to start.
So sorry for very last topic finish. But very last day. Thanks for that. And a big round of applause. So we had a bit of chaos. Now let's come back to the meeting. And since we've been dazzled by our first speakers and our big group of speakers, let's go into the evaluation session. So before we begin the evaluation session, I would like to just give a brief explanation of what it really is. We have all the speakers today, and in the evaluation session, we have our individual evaluators, our VC, and the staff deliver reports on the meeting or the speakers. And this is something that you can work on and improve yourself the next meeting. All right. So I want to like part of our first you can give an evaluation of sometimes I will. Because first of all, my evaluation is almost a Sanjana. Sanjana are very successfully calculating your height, very parts that I you had good some of us tend to be a bit chaotic, maybe we'll engage the audience bit more, but you have a very good natural because you and nature like small speech. You have relatable examples about your speeches, about hobbies, passions, life experiences, and you know, it was really hard to get a relatable example over into your speech, and it went very well. So good job on that. You have to put basic in your speech as well. You went from fast or from slow, it's like a little also, but just fine. And you somehow managed to maintain that as well as slow. You pieces. So there are many moments in which you can moments of slowing down or feeling, but you were able to get back on track very quickly, and that's a very good public speaker. You also had a great incidental and segment, you posed questions to the audience, you did follow, you had a very good interactive session, I will say, in your speech. And you had good speech content as well. You mentioned almost everything you know, even though and after that, in your life, there is a very social impact. Now, moving on to the improvements, you guys are working with part. But that's right to walk your feet. And I think maybe that's a sign of nervousness, which we all have. I think maybe you would be make use of the entire stage because maybe this is not the best way you can get it, but you can work on during the stage. But you can even try another that I found which is you know a little bit you can have to adjust and get comfortable with the stage, but also practice your eye contact, your gestures, and your overall speech. And speaking of eye contact, I noticed that your eye contact was the best throughout your speech. Most of the times, I would see that you were looking straight ahead and not maintaining eye contact with the entire audience. You were a bit towards the front side of the section, a bit towards the back side of that section. So the only suggestion I can try to maintain eye contact with the entire audience. Perhaps you can do a bit during particular sections of the speech, during as you can do for one particular section of the audience, and then move on to the next one. But sometimes people are definitely eye contact. It is very hard in your icebreaker, you get nervous, you can't put it still manage to get that. So, Toastmaster, and my next comment is all you have to do is try to maintain eye contact, but you have speech and you manage to give good relative examples and very important things. So, again, for a very wonderful icebreaker, and I would like to pass over that program. So that was now we will be moving on to the next evaluation category, Amrita. And the first Amrita, I would like to invite our individual graduate. Back with Toastmaster evaluation. Now, Toastmaster Pavitra, she began her speech with a very calm and composed tone. She began with a little bit of controversial audience interaction. She asked a question about how long we stay without cell phones, and we got different responses. It was a nice interaction, and she got the attention of the audience immediately. After that, she moved on to talk about, what the problem is, which is that people use their phones so much. And next, we began to talk about what the different people and the different problems of this mindset. So throughout the speech, I think, I said the good things about the speech, you maintain good eye contact throughout your speech. I think you looked at every single person here in the audience, and it was your eye contact was consistent. You had good gestures, you had very expressive gestures, like you use your hands to express each situation you were talking about. So that was very good. And my eyes literally lit up when you said, YouTube is the ultimate guide to all our problems and risks. That is, YouTube is the ultimate guide. I think feeling you know what you're talking about. Your script was very well written and it had a proper structure. Right? So as I mentioned before, you started problem and then you talk about the people. And then finally you provided a nice ending by saying, stop looking at the phone line and look at the sunlight. I think that was something that everybody thought about and it has given us something to take away after the meeting to really think about and think about what we're doing every day, that is using the mobile phone. So I'm sure everybody has a minimum screen time like 5 to 6 hours and something to think about. Some things that I think you could have improved on. Firstly, you said you had certain changes like technology is useful servant and related is master. I feel like you could have said it with the more expressive and more voice modulation and more volume. Because as I said before, you had very calm, composed your speech. So if you said this quote with more volume, it would have been more impactful. Secondly, you also mentioned a conversation with your father, and he asked you why you keep staring at the phone so much. You could have said that too with more volume and more expression. So you could have maybe made it like a conversation between your father and you. It more impactful. It was very in your entire speech. Apart from that, next you had a little second audience interaction, and when you did not get much of a response, you murmured something suddenly of Master Mukil heard it. So that was not heard with the entire audience. So whenever you say something, make sure it is heard with the entire audience so that everybody can hear what you're saying. So that was all. Apart from that, it was a great speech, good eye contact, good gestures, and amazing script, which is the purpose speech. So yes, I think you did a great job on that one. You know. Too bad. All right. Thanks so much, Veda, for your evaluation. Moving on to the last evaluation. Today, I would like now invite Ms. Amrita to deliver the evaluation of Toastmaster Army.
Okay, so 7 points for second case from. Okay, so I'm for Toastmaster RP situation evaluation. Let's go over the points. You were supposed to give us essentially a peak PI curve on the project we have managed. And I think it was exactly that. So before moving on, a round of applause for Toastmaster RP is completed first. I don't expect this we should start the game interview. That felt like pure unbridled raw expression. What is that? Because not out of the fact that being the vice president of education is everyday job. It's something I have attended to. I have attended to. And after that, it's something I take up with me, we'll keep high hopes. But yes, you brought out that sense of frustration that does happen. But she immediately controlled us. She brought us to the point that, okay, how was this managed? This is wonderful line, by the way. I think it's a script writer and dancing breaker of the Toastmasters people. She writes down the agenda, figures out where to place things, and then puts people in their way. Which is amazing. It's a perfect purpose. And for that unfortunate meeting, I don't know what happened. Apparently, after preparing speaker back out, the general manager ATM and the meeting back out. If you are part of the Toastmasters, we know that also. That basically half the meeting, almost all the meeting. So the fact that you managed that, first of all, I would like to commend you for that. But you put it into perspective. It's not about no matter how well prepared you are, these last minute things, as an example today, can derail you. You can come to get to figure out a time. Figure out something on the go. It just approach it and the team is done. Then she brought in the Toastmaster of the month. Coincidentally, I am also working on the Toastmaster of the month. So the idea was appreciate those who take up what is necessary and sort of connect those to that part of the life. Not as a gesture of talent, but as a gesture of step up and take responsibility for the future. And while the backups haven't helped as much, it was not going to be you have followed the evidence covered. But I can say that someone who's really truly initiated, who's seen my name on that video, is a big contributor to how you see value as part of that. Because not all of us can complete levels or win every meeting. But the sense of being consistent, of being there, that is very important. I think that initiative was perfect for that. And the way you rounded it off, saying that this initiative continues even today, a sign of your legacy. Despite used to being VP, it is a sign of your legacy. It is continues today. And that kind of universal matter. The type I was so confused, Blanche's brought up one point, and I have this point. Also, the only improvement I would suggest are to use the stage a bit more, because I noticed you were rooted to one spot, which is fine. It is quite an authoritative speech you're giving. You're mentoring the audience. But I would prefer if you, again, use the triangle method that was not expressive. A bigger moment would set us more at ease. But if you left to one, and your eye contact was very well done, your looking well was very well done. The only other thing is your invisibility. You use invisible medals twice for yourself. You said one for the audience and one for yourself. If you could have wrapped it up with one final mention, I think that would come beautifully, sir.
All the evaluators for their wonderful and detailed evaluations of today's speaker. Now, let's go through the evaluations by Kathy. First up, I would like to call for a hand of the now.
Good evening again, everybody. I'm very sorry for the messy notebook. I couldn't find anything else in my bag today. Today, I'm not very satisfied at the diverse report because we do have disqualifications, not just one, two, we have three disqualifications. So, I'm going to get to the diverse report. The first is the very sickness because we don't have any disqualifications there. First one, you spoke 5 minutes 45 seconds. First was Kalindra, you spoke 6 minutes 12 seconds. And first master Arti, you spoke 5 minutes 58 seconds. Now, moving on to the different topics. History. First master Aditya, you spoke for 2 minutes 13 seconds. Yes, Aditya, you spoke for 56 seconds. Yes, Sophia, you spoke for 1 minute 7 seconds. First master Gishika, you spoke for 2 minutes 12 seconds. Guess Madhumika, you spoke for 54 seconds. Now, moving on to the individual evaluators report. You spoke for 50 seconds. It's 4 minutes, 4 seconds. And Toastmaster, I will. It's 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So, this is all for the timer support for today. Good meeting. The table topics. 50 for 6 seconds and 50 for 6 seconds. Very sorry.
Timeless report. Moving on, we will now be having the Amrita report by
So for today's report, a lot of people use stars and express. That is the first time as a Toastmaster I'm taking up the role of our founder, and it was pretty fun. I've been a little sadistic and a bit sarcastic, but it's fine. So to start with, Toastmasters being told, what bet? And to move on to Toastmaster Pavitra, you use 16 hours, 4 ups, 2 so's, 3 likes, 1 but, and 2 times use 2 in a sentence at the same time. Next is Toastmaster Aarti. She used 1 1 1 well, 2 so's, 3 likes. Sorry, what can I use? You use 2 so's, 3 buts, and 4 wells in a sentence. To move on to Toastmaster Ishita, you use 6 R's, 6 so's, 7 buts, and 7 hands. So consecutively. And to move on to Toastmaster Veda, you use 9 R's, 2 R's, 2 so's, 1 line. Toastmaster Bharatiya, you use 1 R, 8 so's, 7 buts, and 4 that's repeatedly within like 10 seconds or so. Toastmaster Amrita, you just use 2 so's. And Toastmaster Sudhanshu, you use 2 R's, 1 well, 3 so's, and 2 ands. Sorry, 4 ands. Yes, Amrita, you use 6 R's, 4 1 well, 1 so. Yes, Sophia, you use 1 so's. And yes, Amrita, you use 6 so's and 3 heads. Then set up the back to the values.
I'm glad to forgot this time. My name is Roshni. For those of you who are committed to get this anybody so I will see the major for today's unit. I took note of the good and bad uses of travel along with the notes of money we used to with it, and I was true Toastmaster Aditya and yes, Sophia. Congratulations on if it did not the uses with me, I identified. Yeah, that was such. So, okay, we have Toastmaster Aditya, Toastmaster Siddharth, and yes, if you use the word today. But when you good job of doing that, it's not easy to add a new word into your vocabulary instantly and then use it the right way. I have to use the right way all the time. So kudos to you guys for that. We should really stop saying kudos and chaotic as Toastmasters. So let's go on to the good use of grammar. Related to the competition, technology is a beautiful slave in master. It's a very thoughtful choice of code that I have used. We are connected through screens, boundary between convenience, and I didn't quite catch the next word, but it was a very good phrase from Master Pavitra's speech. Embrace the imperfect reality. And there was the phrase about whole light and sunlight. That was also very, very, very well. Script writing and casting, the script writing and casting director of the club, Toastmaster RT speech. Invisible medal. Successful leadership is when we impact the city. The entire last sentence, I'm sorry, you cannot write that fast. That's one sorry, very good use. Definition home. I quite like when guests appear when you are a coffee lover, it's masturbation. As just not Siddharth had slightly point out, there is a lot more, there's a good facial reactions. L1 to P3, please join us and you can excel at that. Never is going to get us that standard. And I think unbridled, I didn't finish for every question, I think some Toastmasters in their evaluation. Unbridled is going to say rates. Now, some of there's one of the uses of grammar that can be changed a little bit. Generally, from a traditional background can be from a traditional background. It was during my sixth grade. It was during sixth grade, or when I was in sixth grade, it sounds a lot more natural. Self dignity and respect is typically self dignity and self respect. Question given something, out of curiosity, let me ask you something, or I have a question. Was in YouTube, was on YouTube, life hack, in earth, on earth, either you hit on me, either you hit me. Mental being state of mental well-being, living in, should be living with. Non-existential in specific context should have been non-existent. Not being active, who are inactive. Talks to me pretty nicely can be talks well to me. Sorry for the tea and coffee lovers. Can for specific context be sorry? Because tea and coffee lovers. With that, I would like to conclude my report and have a look at gender values. Tag team and Gumaran, 500 of course. It's starting from the general rapid and shine. So, when I talk about before we do this, I think okay, moving. The meeting started slightly late before but not practical, we were mostly on track. Yes, and we had a wonderful presentation on the speakers for today, and we have wide speakers and the speakers, a wonderful technical a very passionate, insightful rant on our digital life. And speak into the life of a very, very busy meeting. Thank you to all our speakers who have wonderful speakers today. And all the evaluators as well. You have very good detailed reports, and I think all of us can improve based on that. Moving on to some of the improvements that we could have for this meeting. The term was mostly maintained throughout. We had to make some instructions, but then again, we had cross off, let's improve upon that next time. Also, all the members and guests because it's a form of encouragement and it would be very helpful. These kind of people gets on stage and gets off stage, so we could encourage them to, be like, hey, yeah. And a final shout out of sorts to Toastmasters Siddharth. Thank you for that wonderful table topic session. It was a very chaotic, but and it was a very chaotic session, but as a first time role player, especially as a table topics, we had other questions and he posed the topics very well as well. So congrats to those, and I hope to see more of it. And with that, I would like to end GE's report back to the self officer. It was a very mindset, to sum it up in a nutshell, we had a bunch of topics, but I delivered all that in GE's report. So let's move right into the voting session. Amrita has sent the link for the forms in the WhatsApp group for ADC as well as in the chat. And to the guests, we will be giving you the voting form. If any of the members who pass them, please. All right. So while we're waiting on that, that's fine. So the guests who attended the session today, how was the meeting? But before I get the feedback, we have two guests. If you could please introduce yourself. All right, no worries. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us and just final one again. The meeting starts at 4:50 and it's 6 o'clock and it's on all Fridays until it's changed to report or postpone, depends on our current schedule. Thank you for joining us regardless. We're happy to be here. Have a very good day. So the meeting is over. This is all of the standard smart meeting this time. This will be the very conversation. And people have this. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you all for joining us and how are you doing? Okay. It's so there are a couple of announcements. Okay. Yes. Reminder that we have a class officer training program on February 2nd and this will be one college technology. It is from 1:30 to 5 p.m. A bit weird timing, but we will be having a fun because to all the EXCOM officers, you have to attend because you will get trained officially. To all the members, you are welcome to attend if you ever want to become EXCOM roles in the future. Curious about what a particular EXCOM member does and the duties. You're welcome to join us. The link has been sent in the group for registrations for the OTP. So please do let me know on the EXCOM members know if you want to attend. Training program. Next meeting will be very special. We have our Division G Director, Toastmaster Tina, who will be joining us offline for the meeting 331. So if any of the members would like to pick up a role, please approach our VP. She will help you book slots for the next meeting. And finally, to all the guests and the members, we will be having moments of truth session probably next month. And our secretary, Thomas Vega, will be putting a poll in the very soon for the same. And please don't vote for this because the most basically a voting for that character. We vote on what all has to be done, what all has to be done. Take a look at how far we've come and all the things that we've done some of the previous term. And if you as a member have any suggestions to make, feel free to do that on the same. So again, Toastmaster Veda will be putting a poll in the group for the same. So please go and fill out that poll. And a final reminder, on the form. The thing is, we've been having a couple of delays in getting responses for the forms, such as the VCPR forms and the VP forms that they sent out to get information about the members. Please do vote in this because the heads are from officers collect information on you, which will be used for your birthday flyers, for any award submissions or such. So I hope you will fill in the forms for the same because we want to get things updated on that. Those are the things that I want to say we have forms. Anyone else have any engagement? All right. So yes, we have another meeting next week, 4:50 to 6 p.m. Unfortunately, just before the midterms, but what can we do? What can we do? Thank you. Probably not very helpful, but this is appreciating our it's not good. Just for the anything else? Any particular ABP member have any comments to make for today's meeting? No. No, Unfortunately, we have a person named Toastmaster Short who is fortunately he was caught up in a bunch of who are pro back. We're going to see you next week. That's yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone should take a suggestion. We have one of the time. Please. No suggestion. Oh, we have to try it. Yes, the result is. Look at the yes. Sorry. No. I'm telling you, master in our club. We finished with alcohol, but again, congrats on finishing 11. All right, let's start. So, next role play goes to dynamics master. That is the best prepared speaker. All right, so best prepared speaker goes to. But also the role player goes to Arasama for the name of Masakaya. And we have a private with Master Kalyani and with Master Subhashi, who is the criminal. The best individual evaluator goes to Toastmaster Ekshita. And all the participants, really a wonderful meeting. And with that, I would like to adjourn 330. Please feel free to take a home. Please give thanks everyone on stage. We will
Social media relation guy.
feel